there, I get a lot of requests to do a video about changing chords more quickly, especially from all the beginner players out there. And so I came up with 7 tips, 7 things that you can apply right now to try to increase your speed changing between chords. Because if you can't change from a C to a D, you're probably not going to be able to play many songs. And so those are the 2 chords we're going to work with today, okay? So let's just jump right in. Okay, the first thing you're going to want to do, and it may sound obvious, is you're going to want to memorize the chord shape. You're going to want to memorize where your fingers go and what fingers you're using. And you may not have to right away. As you start to practice chords, you'll start to memorize them. But it definitely saves you time. If you have to look up on a chord chart, how do I play the next chord? Obviously, that's going to slow you down. So you're going to want to be able to have the chords memorized. Now, we're just going to do 2 chords, so I'm not asking too much of you to memorize 2 chord shapes. The 2 chords we're going to use are C and D. Okay? Now, the first thing you want to do when you're trying to get your fingers used to a chord is once you've placed your fingers on the correct positions, in this case, on the C chord, we have the 3rd finger on the 3rd fret of the 5th string, the 2nd finger on the 2nd fret of the 4th string, the G string is open, and then the 1st finger is on the 1st fret of the 2nd string, and the top string, E string, is open. Okay, the first thing we'll want to do after we have the chord memorized is we're going to want to lift the fingers off the strings just a little bit. You could even just lift the string off the fret and then push it back down. And then take it off and leave it right there, really close, right above where you're supposed to put your fingers, and then push it down. Okay? Do that a few times so you can kind of get that shape in your hand, and maybe have your thumb in the back of the neck. Okay, don't bring the thumb over the top here. Keep the thumb behind the neck, kind of right around the 2nd fret. Then the next thing we want to do is take the hand completely off, open it like this. You could even go blah, 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 like that. Okay, and then put the fingers back on and make the C chord again. And then take the fingers off and do that a few times. Take the fingers off, put them back on in place. Okay, and we're going to do that with the D chord too. The D chord is, we're not going to play anything on the bottom 2 strings. The 4th string, open. The 1st finger is on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string. The 3rd finger is going to be on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string, and your 2nd finger is going to be on the 2nd fret of the 1st string. A little triangle shape. So memorize that shape. Now just slightly bring the fingers off. Even just lift the strings off the frets and then push it back down. Do that a few times. Maybe bring it a little further off and push it back down. And like that a few times. And really try to concentrate. Make sure the strings sound good. Keeping your thumb behind the neck will help you get a good solid sound. Now take your fingers all the way off. Go like this and then make the chord again. And try to put all your fingers, we're going to get to this point in a second, kind of land on the spots where they're supposed to go all at the same time. Don't place one finger at a time, okay? Try to visualize the chord and just put your fingers where they belong, okay? And you could even start out where you're pulling away from the strings, and then a little further away and a little further away and a little further away slowly, so that your fingers just kind of naturally start to form that shape as they're going towards it. Okay? That's kind of the idea why we're taking our fingers off and putting them back on. Okay. Now, what you want to do, so often we have a song that's like, say, C and D are in the key of G. So we might have a song that's bars of G, 2 bars of each chord. Well, the problem with that is that you're going to have to wait about 20 seconds before you can even make the change from C to D. So what I recommend is just practice going 1 strum of each, C, and then go to D, and then back to C. Just practice the change that you're having troubles with. I've often said, if you've got a chord that's giving you problems, say C is the problem chord, you have a bunch of other chords down, but you have a hard time making C work, you can play a G chord, then a C chord, then an E minor chord, then a C chord, then a D chord, then a C chord, then an A minor chord, then a C chord. You can make your own exercises based on the specific need that you have, and just work that one chord that you're struggling with. Well, in this case, we're talking about going back and forth between two basic chords. Okay, so what I want you to do is to really try to move all the fingers together at the same time, and notice the paths that the fingers are taking. So when I go from C to D in this example, my first finger is going from the first fret of the second string to the second fret of the third string. That's the movement it's making. Okay, now interesting thing about this going from C to D here is that my third and second finger are on adjacent strings and adjacent frets, and they are just moving right down like this. So the third finger is moving down to the from the third fret of the fifth string to the third fret of the second string. The second finger is moving from the second fret of the fourth string down to the first fret of the second fret of the first string. And so they're actually moving together. So you move those two together, and then you move the first finger up, and those are the pathways that your fingers are following. And you can see by this diagram where I'm going from C to D and back again. Don't forget to look at the pathways when you head back to C. It's the same. They're going, just doing the opposite. Okay, so, and you want to really try to move. At first, of course, you're going to probably move one finger at a time, but you're going to have to start moving them all at once because you want the chord to change almost immediately. You're going to want to change instantly. You don't want to have a time where you've got some fingers on and some fingers off. You're going to have like... It's not going to sound like a C to D. It's going to sound like a bunch of different things. So you're really going to want to try to move them all together. Now I know I make it look easy, but eventually you'll be able to do this too. This is not as difficult as it feels at first. Okay, and then the last thing you can do is to practice along with a metronome. And if you practice with a metronome will help you force yourself to change in time. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can set the metronome slow and practice changing 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Eventually you'll be able to change quickly. So hopefully this helps. And I'm going to do a follow-up video to this for the more intermediate players. And what I'm going to use there is I'm going to turn some jazz chords into some exercises for you to practice and really, really work the changes on your fingers so that you can change chords really fast. Okay? God bless you. Thanks for watching.